Hello, friends. This week's episode of Feast, Sheath, and Shatter was intended to discuss the first part of Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. However, due to an unforeseen technical difficulty, that episode audio isn't available. Instead, we will be discussing the second part of the House of Earth and Blood, including some fan theories and part of House of Sky and Breath. We will be discussing the first part of this book at a later date and hope to use it as a way of enhancing our chat about the House of Sky and Breath. Thank you for your understanding.
Okay, I'm Kate.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is Feast,
Sheath,
and Shatter.
Is it hot in here, or is it just me tuning in to hear these three chatting about fantasy novels of the spicy variety? Not your average book club, if you know what I mean. Are you happy to see us, or is that a dagger? It's Feast, Sheath, Shatter. It's Feast, Sheath, Shatter.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be covering our second portion. We're going to be covering the canyon and the ravine of House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. But first, we are going to go and we are going to talk about a little bit of drama that's happening in, or controversy, if you will, in the SJM-Verse on 2 days ago. First of all, let me start out by saying, hey Rachel, did you see the post?
For once, I was on social media enough to see. You know why? It's because I followed Sarah J. Maas on Instagram because it freaked me out that her top 3 photos, she has the exact same face. And I wanted to see if she was going to make the same face in every photo she posted. And so I had
I love that that's the reason.
Yeah, that was the reason
I
why.
was like, wow, she's got the
So-
head tilt to the right, like,
Yep.
ding, like my blonde hair
right.
falling just so. And I was like, wow, that's really posed. Okay.
So you saw the post.
yeah.
Did it spoil it for you?
I knew she left, but I didn't know where she went. And so I was like, oh, okay.
Right. So,
Warning.
spoiler warning. And yeah, I'm not going to even tell what happens. We're not going to spoil the end of it. We're just not.
No.
Because we can talk around it.
Right.
So Sarah J. Maas made a post on her personal account. She doesn't post very often. She's not a social media person. And she basically decided that, it has been coming for a really long time, if you've been reading all these books, as we have, that this is a multiverse. And that we all know that Aelin, we've already talked about this, Aelin bebops at the end of Kingdom of Ath through Lunathian, through Prithian, right? We know that these cross over. And, the ending of Sky and Breath, which we will talk about 2 pods from now, has a big plot twist and a big plot turn. And when she made this post, people fell into what looks like 1 or 2 categories. They were either really frustrated that they were in the middle of reading, they haven't read Crescent City yet, and all of a sudden there's this spoiler that the author is deciding, hey, it's been 2 years, it's time, stop hiding the secrets, this is what's going to happen. So what that did was any of the ACOTAR readers or anybody who doesn't realize that this is a multiverse and that there's some crossover is going to go and pick up these books, right? That's the intention. Mm-hmm. You want to get more readers, right? So now everybody knows that really you do need to read all 15 books because it's just one big universe. Mm-hmm. So, and then there's the people that were really frustrated, and then there's the people that were frustrated that people were frustrated. And all of a sudden you can see comments after comments. You all of a sudden see the fandom kind of divided and people being pretty having really strong opinions about what is okay to do, what isn't okay to do. And, I think I kind of understand both sides, right? Because, there are people out there who have been waiting for these teasers for 2 years.
Yeah.
And they don't care. Or people who have had this spoiled. It's really hard to keep some of this stuff together. I knew that, spoiler warning for A Court of Thorns and Roses, I knew that Tamlin was an endgame because Rhysand shows up in Kingdom of Ash. The guy with the wings isn't in the first book. So I was like, I don't know who. That's not right.
Right.
So Aelin ruined it for me. And I think in some ways, this is an Aelin move, man. She was just like, fuck you guys. I don't care about it. Let's drop it. Let's go.
She is Aelin.
She is Aelin. Yeah. She was like, I don't care anymore. Here's what we need to do. And I can see, I think it's strong marketing. I can see the take about it being like a movie, except for these books take 30 hours to read and there's 15 of them. And it's not like you can just, it's not like a Marvel marathon to catch up for Infinity War.
Right.
You know, this takes a lot of people a lot of time. If you're a mom, if you're a person that just isn't always reading or doesn't have time to like, you're not living the sync life where you're doing nothing but ingesting stories constantly. I don't know. I made a TikTok and I was like, I'm disappointed. And that's okay. It's okay to be disappointed. And I had so many people in my feelings. It's so many people just completely invalidating my feelings, completely telling me how wrong I was. And this isn't a right or wrong issue.
No,
you're
it's
allowed
not.
to feel on either side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so we were talking about books being this big of a deal now, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't something we're really used to, and really since Harry Potter. I'm just wondering if TikTok was a thing when I was reading Harry Potter.
You would have had some spoilers, probably.
And I would have been devastated.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just a piggyback on that. One of the things that I have seen is that the same people in these comments saying, leave Sarah alone. It's been 2 years. Get over yourself. You snooze, you lose, are turning around and making that post with a spoiler warning.
So that's all we're saying.
And
all she had to do was put a slide that was like spoiler warning on
but she
slide
didn't
2.
want. It didn't want to. That's not the point. She wants the people to know.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Such and such are in this book. Why? You should see the comments. They were funny. I mean, they were having me laughing. What? Excuse me? Who? Why are they in
I need
there?
to go
Why
back.
are they in there? I don't understand. Like, why is such and such in this book? Well, the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
You know, here we are. So, I don't know. I was just, I have been working. If you have listened to any of these pods, you know that I say almost everything I think, and I am a little just overboard, and I have been protecting that secret. And Rachel doesn't even mind spoilers. And I have been protecting her from it because I wanted her to have that experience. Now, let me also say, at this point, I've read Crescent City. I'm in my 6th reread of it in a year. And I know that these books are good no matter if you know what's going to happen. I reread the end of Earth and Blood yesterday and sat on my bed and sobbed. Cried. Again. Again.
Yep.
At, the end of this book. So I know that you can read it over and over again. I know it doesn't spoil the books. I know the books are still good.
Sure.
But I am never going to not be empathetic to a new reader's experience.
Yeah.
And that is just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am a person that is always going to protect that and always want that for people.
Well, it's because you want them to have the same experience you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want them to have that moment at the end instead of like, oh, yeah, I knew that was coming.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have watched other podcasters, I have watched other people who love these books talk about how that moment was taken from them. And so for me to see people who are like, well, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
You snooze, you lose, bitches.
This is why I'm always cautious about fandom. Like, I'm always cautious about anything that generates this level of fandom.
Sure. Well, and I think this is a turning point.
Because it really attracts. It's like the Star Wars fandom.
I know.
I was a Star Wars fan for many, 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 many years.
Mm-hmm.
I would never say I was a Star Wars. Like, I was in the Star Wars fandom now. I don't want to be associated with that level of like intensity and toxicity.
Right. Well, and my thing is like, I was reading, I had a trolling moment today where I was really frustrated.
You were in a villain era for a while today.
I was feeling like, what did
The
I call
reputation era.
I was feeling like a sneaky little villain and trolling people because it's not safe on the internet to say I was disappointed in this.
Yeah.
It
should be.
And I think the people who I don't want to do stereotypes, but I know how much this book means. I know how much these stories mean to me. And I imagine that there are other people that these stories have pulled them out of depressions or been all they can think about. I mean, this isn't a Roman Empire for me. I think about it on a daily basis, like 10 times a day. You know, this isn't just like a couple times a week. I'm literally so hyper fixated with it, which is my own thing. And like, this is where I'm at. This is my Sarah J. Maas era, if you will, with my sneaky little villain era. But I know there's other people. I'm also a sensitive person, and you are allowed, people can have different levels of sensitivity. And just because someone else does have sensitive feelings and they feel like, I mean, a little bit betrayed in a way.
Because she took it from everybody.
Yeah, I mean, she just decided, she just decided like, this has to be out there now. Like
if it reached me.
Yeah.
It's reached the far corners of the internet.
And I have, I worked really hard for a year to keep that from you. Yeah. And I wasn't even going to bring it up, but I think it's timely to talk about it. But, I get the people who want to defend Sarah, and Sarah can do no wrong, and it's her book, and she can do what she wants, and it's marketing, and it's smart. And this fandom that's already growing and growing and growing is going to get massive because now everybody knows that this is actually a continuation of this previous story.
Yeah, that's all true stuff. But, I mean, more than one thing can be
True at one time.
Yeah, and Sarah can make mistakes.
And I don't think it was a mistake. I don't think it'll ever be seen as a mistake.
But people, I mean, it's okay.
It's an intentional marketing strategy, and that can also be kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make me not like her. It's not going to make me walk away. We live in this, like, I'm not going to cancel Sarah.
We're not going to not read the rest of the books.
We're not going to not read the books. Like, it is okay to have a criticism about an author and you not have to run at my take of it, right? So...
Yeah, I think we're in this space where all criticism is an attack. It's
like,
oh, you've criticized her? Well, you must hate her now. Well, no, that's not even, that's not true at all. I'm just saying I didn't like that. I personally didn't like that.
I felt a little bit hurt because I worked really hard at protecting my friends. I called a couple friends and was like, stay off the internet today. I have my friend Beth, who has been reading these with us, and she reads them and she listens to the pod. I know she would feel frustrated.
Yeah.
If that, you know what I mean? Because she's doing her best to work through it as fast as she can, but she's been working on them for 6 months.
Yeah. There are a lot of books.
There's a lot of books.
Look how long it's taken us to get through them.
Yeah, we've been doing them. I mean, we read other books, though, but yeah. Anyways, so it's just it did exactly what it was supposed to do, which was brew a little bit of controversy, do the thing, right? Everyone's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. And I think that there is a group of people who protect the stories and want to protect people's experiences and practice spoiler etiquette on a daily basis. And I think they were a little bit blown away that was just like, oh, here we are now. But at the same time, that's some alien shit. So it's funny. Like, it kind of makes me laugh. And like, that's where I'm at in my stage of grief. Okay. It's just like, I think it's hilarious.
Acceptance.
It's just like, acceptance. Yeah. Like, it's like, no, Aelin, no.
Yeah.
No, Aelin, no. But like with spoilers, like, here it is. Bitches, you snooze, you fucking lose. So.
I mean, 2 years isn't that big of a snooze, to be honest.
I guess in the TikTok era.
In the TikTok era, it is.
Everything is.
And when I'm thinking about now, like the way that it's not a television show. It's not a movie. Yeah. This is the first time that books are being compared to a movie trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess I genuinely, if you go macro and you just pull back, it's really just a really good glimpse at the state of the fandom and how big it is and how many people are reading those books.
I kind of got stressed out the other day watching somebody's TikTok saying, I'm taking off work that day, I'm reading straight through, and I'm seeing so many people that they're going to like get up at 4 a.m. and start reading, like you.
Yeah.
Like, and start reading. I'm like, it's going to take me a few days to get through this book.
Well, it's longer.
Can everybody just relax, please, for a moment?
Yeah, it's longer than both. It's longer. And it, right now, Audible, if we look at, so Audible on 1 is actually really slow. It's like a talking pace. So I think I read at like 1.5, which is going to make this book about 28 hours. So it's not, if you sleep, it's not something you'll be able to do. If you read like Rachel, she could probably crush it in a day.
Read it in a day.
But it's going to take me a couple days for sure. You know, and it's going to take a couple days. I'm definitely going to not be on the internet.
Yeah, I would.
100 pages have already leaked. So a lot of people that I'm seeing on the internet are campaigning and talking about the damage of spoilers while simultaneously saying that Sarah can do whatever she wants. So it's like we have this, it's just this funny dichotomy of like, spoilers are so terrible / these spoilers don't count.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm with everybody. Like I've calmed down. I'm not as intense about it anymore, but I think calling people names, saying that they're obnoxious for having feelings about something, like there's room for everyone to have feelings. You can be disappointed that you learned something you didn't want to learn and you didn't have a choice.
So here's a parenting tip. When we talk to the kids and I'm telling them how I'm feeling, you use personal language. So like, that made me feel like you were trying to make me feel upset. And I feel upset because it felt to me like you were trying to invalidate what I was saying. And so you aren't, when you say something like, you are being obnoxious, I'm calling you obnoxious. I'm putting this on you. It's a trap because you can't come back and say, no, I'm not. Because you're telling the other person, now you're attacking the other person. So it's always a trap when you put something on somebody else. So anytime somebody comes at you with, well, you're being obnoxious for having these feelings, it's super emotionally immature to use that form of language because there's absolutely no way that you can defend yourself from that sort of statement.
Sure. And I'm seeing so much of that, and it makes me wonder...
because the only way to defend yourself is to pick a fight because you can't just say, well, if you agree, you make yourself a liar. And if you disagree, you make them a liar. So there's no way out of it without somebody having to like take a step back and lose. When there's no winning or losing, I have my feelings. Yeah. This isn't a competition.
Yeah, and I think it's really, and it really shows to me if you are out there invalidating other people's feelings or using name calling or like, you know, if someone says, this hurts me, and you say, well, you're obnoxious for having your feelings. Yeah. I'm like, what? You're a what? How old? Yeah. But this fandom is huge. Right. Yeah. Speaking of age, I want to shout out a sweet little TikTok friend. Her name is Aowen, and she made the best, presentation PowerPoint. She spent like 5 days making it. Aww. And I am going to share it with you guys. I think I'm going to try and repost some of it on our TikTok but it's really good. And she's just so nice. We emailed. I was like, hey, can I have a copy? Your PowerPoint link is broken. And she sent it to me. And now she tags me in her post. And I'm like, these are so good. Aww. She's just so nice. I think she's from the UK too, but I love her.
I love a good PowerPoint.
It's really good. It's really good. So I'm going to try and share it, or point people to it. Maybe we can tag her or just write her name in our description. People can go look at her. Yeah. I love what she's doing. Her content's really sweet and good. She knows what's up. Cool. Yeah.
Shouldn't invalidate your feelings.
No, she doesn't.
What do you mean the PowerPoint's broken? Sounds like it's your problem.
I was like, hey, I'll pay you. Like, I feel like if people are creating these things, like, let me send you some money to share this I said, I want a PDF version. She sent me a PDF version. Aww. Yeah. So hold on. I'm trying to pull up this. Okay. So I have it in front of me. But yeah, she's a sweetheart. I have been seeing I cannot wait. And not this podcast, in like 2-3 podcasts. We're going to do a crazy crack theories. Like all the things we want to see happen in House of Flame and Shadow and all the things that I think are going to happen. I cannot wait to do it. So y'all start writing this down.
Okay.
And if you're listening and following along with us, think about yours too.
Write your ideas down.
Yeah. But we are going
You can
to
email them to us.
Yeah, you can email
Yeah.
at what?
The hosts at strangeandbeautiful.club.
Yeah. The host at strangeandbeautiful.club.
Yep.
.club.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
You can make
Dot
dot anything now.
spoilers.
You can make dot. You could make a dot spoiler. You can make dot anything.
Yeah, you
now.
can make. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a new thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The internet evolved.
Whoa.
Crazy.
What is Canva?
Can I ask you something? What is Canva? But we're back talking about House of Earth and Blood today. We're in our second. We're going to talk about the Ingasms.
All of them.
All
the
17.
All 35.
Yeah.
But first we're going to talk about the Canyon, which is the third act. And this actually has a lot of juicy, meaty stuff in it. I reading back through it, I was like, oh, this is the fun stuff. It's like after the second part where we find like Hunt and Bryce kind of like coming back to life, really like loving each other. And then we get to the canyon where it's like, what's a canyon look like? The world just opens up.
Yeah.
And we meet Rachel's favorite character.
Therian.
Yeah, what did you say about?
Merman.
Oh, he's the himbo
Man Pop.
the himbo merman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also meet Hypaxia, who's one of my favorite characters. I love her.
Love her.
She is a necromancing queen of the witches whose mother has just died. And she's in her grief. She goes into the city to see what city life is like.
What's all this about?
Yeah.
Let me pose as a
Med-
A
commoner.
med witch.
Yeah.
A common med witch.
Common med witch. Yeah, and she like keeps showing up at all the murder scenes. She's also trying to solve
Always in the background.
the murder mystery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know why, like, you were talking about your pet peeves, like going into the sewers is a pet peeve. Pirates are a pet peeve.
yeah,
For some reason, calling people witches in a high fantasy setting always bothers me.
really.
Like, witches to me are like, I'm in a like real world and there's people that can use magic. They're wizards. But once or witches. But once we're in a high fantasy setting, I want another word for it.
Really?
I don't want them to be witches.
Interesting.
Because now they're just, what are they? Are they humans that can use, that didn't tell me anything. Like
Right.
the Fae are biologically different. The angels are biologically different. The wolves are biologically different. And then there's a whole range of shifters. And then witches are humans that can use magic.
No.
No, they're not. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I
don't
could
know.
see. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
witches are a species.
But
'Cause
we
the-
don't really get
An
lot
explanation
of detail
of that.
in this world.
I
Yeah.
wonder if she's thinking that we're pulling our Throne of Glass witches with us because
even
they're
they-
Valg.
They are.
They're half Valg.
But-
And are the witches of Earth and Blood? What's their house is Earth and Blood, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But
In Throne of Glass, they get a different name, though. They're the like, there's the two different
Iron
kinds.
yeah,
teeth.
Iron Teeth, Black
We
Beak.
know they're biologically different.
And they have blue blood. Like, they're different.
Yeah.
And in this, it's just like, well, they're witches.
Right.
And they fly on brooms. I can't with the brooms when they're going to leave, like they're going to leave the symposium
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and they're like they broke the brooms, and
They
all
blew
I
up-
could,
he blew up
all
the
I could
brooms,
think
yeah.
was that moment from Hocus Pocus when they're riding on vacuum cleaners, and I was just like, can they use any? Does it have to be a specific
Swiffer
kind
mom. Will this work?
yeah, like the Nimbus 2000s got blown up.
Where's my firebolt?
Yeah.
Because they use brooms in Throne of Glass too, which I also had a problem with, but I probably talked about them. But it's just like brooms, really? Like witches on brooms? We couldn't come up with all the other imaginative stuff we put in this book. And you're like, and then the witches ride broomsticks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes
No,
the
yeah.
lore.
I
Yeah.
can't. That's my like.
Yeah. She has a really cool broom though. It like pushes a button and it pops up. But that might be the second book, but
I
whatever.
don't think it is because
Yeah.
she doesn't actually. Oh, she rides one late, like halfway through, because Rune is talking to her and she's like, whoop! She like runs over and grabs it and pushes off into the sky.
Yeah.
But
But we learned that Hypaxia is the queen of the necromancers, and she hides that, or Queen of the Witches, and she hides that from, which is such a great, that's another way this book just like is the best, is the hiding and the revealing. There's just so many reveals. It's just constantly revealing something.
It's not so much she hid that nobody asked.
Yeah.
Nobody asked.
Rune was like, what's her name again? Oh, fuck, I forgot to ask again.
You should have known she was royalty when her lunch was bread and honey and cheese.
Yeah.
It just seems like
Nectar.
some fucking royal people shit. Like, I'm just going to douse
On
it
a tray.
on a tray and a teapot.
silver
Yeah.
tray.
You know, she just comes out there and she's like drizzling her honey. And she talks about her teachers who are dead people. But I love, like, I can't wait to see, you know, she's a necromancer, and the necromancers are in House of Flame and Shadow. So I'm trying to think of, you know, when it comes to the House of Flame and Shadows, who that could possibly be about, you know, and Hypaxia kind of is in both houses. Jessica is too.
Yeah.
And I think that I want more Jessica. I have a theory of who Jessica is, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
That'll be our crack theories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah. So what else happens? They go to what happens in the canyon? It's chock full of stuff. Bryce and Hunt continue to get to know each other. We meet Therian, and we have this whole Therian thing.
I love Therian's casual just flirtation.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Legs. He calls her legs.
Yeah.
Just immediately they know that they're both just like the flirty type of people, and it means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just platonic flirts
Yeah.
that respect each other. Yeah. And we're just building a court, an ox.
Yeah.
We're just our team. There's way more Declan stuff, Declan and Flynn. We learn more about them. We just really expand the universe. We learn more about Hunt and Isaiah. I'm trying to think. And then really, I mean, it's just a third act.
Yeah.
And then we learned that
We learn more about Synth.
we
don't
learned and we learned Sabine didn't kill Danica.
Yeah.
We learned that Danica stole
That was
the
a
horn.
short-lived theory.
Yeah.
Like, I've got it.
And we learned
Oh, no.
that Danica Danica stole the horn, and it was another revelation.
Yeah.
Another way in which Bryce didn't know what was going on.
Yep.
Is that this book? Nope, that's the next book. Never mind.
This
I shouldn't have
book-
started Sky and Breath before we talked about this, because I'm like getting really,
know.
I'm getting really confused.
I
I'm like,
was
is that
really
this
trying not
book?
to.
Is that this book? I don't remember.
And then he gets his wings cut off, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they push her too hard. They write trash on her like birthday croissants.
which is so fucked
She's
up.
getting bullied.
Yeah, I got so tired of the trash. I mean, I get it. I'm with Bryce and being tired of her being called trash.
Yeah.
We're all tired of her being called
We're
trash.
so sick of it.
It's just,
Like, come up with something new,
and they mess
maybe.
up the croissants, y'all. I love a chocolate croissant. Don't fuck with my croissants. Get out my croissant.
Really
Got
want
them
one.
for Danica.
I know, and no one remembered Danica's birthday, and I think Danica's a Leo. I think it was like August when this happened. It's just
Typical.
actually it was like April, so maybe she's in Aries. Anyways, but yeah. So she goes. Hunt attacks. Like at this
Yeah.
point,
Hunt's like, oh hell no.
and Bryce and Hunt are really seeing each other in each other, and they're basically finally processing their grief.
Yeah, they said
by-
they're mirrors of each other.
Yeah, by finally process. Yeah, and so Hunt can feel her pain,
Yeah.
and he loses his shit in a way that we've not seen him do, and he goes and he like starts
Ruffles
some feathers.
Yeah.
Ruff-
then
wolf
gets
up.
his
fucks
feathers
up
ruffled.
Amelie, or he didn't fuck her up, but
And he
anyways,
just threatens her really good. Sends a few zaps into her.
yeah. I mean he can't do that because he's an enslaved person that works for the governor.
Yeah.
So it's basically an act of war.
Yeah.
So because of the hierarchies, dumbass hierarchies.
So he gets his wings chopped off.
Yeah.
Right?
That
Like,
is so
in front of Bryce.
traumatized.
they grow back, y'all.
Right.
Yeah.
And like what, 3 weeks?
Their wings grow back.
4 weeks?
Everything grows back.
Everything
Dicks can
grows
grow back.
back.
Yeah, because he's like, I don't want to spend time dickless because they threaten to cut his dick off, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, no. That
Like
would be
it'll
great.
grow back, but I don't want to be a month without
My giant schlong.
My wiener.
Yeah.
My wang.
My
My Pringle-sized can
Oh, God.
that reaches my knees.
No, not the Pringle can.
My ankles.
Oh, we meet Adis.
Yeah, we do meet
Ooh,
Adis.
Adis.
Is that the third act?
Yeah, I think she summons him in the third
Oh,
act.
okay, yeah. She crushes that obsidian
she
salt
gets that
up.
salt
mortar,
up.
yeah,
He's
she
like-
mortared and
He's
pesters
like, oh
that.
my God, I hope
pestles
she
that.
didn't use the blender.
Yeah, dude. So I think Sarah J. Maas is so funny. She
Yeah.
writes. I think she's hilarious.
She's funnier in this book than she is in a lot of them.
Because
yeah.
I think with the modern fantasy, Bryce's personality is just a little bit more. She's just funny, but her. As you watch Bryce and Hunt's relationship grow, their banter becomes very, like, they have a lot of chemistry when it comes to their banter.
Yeah.
And I love the subtlety of her being able to write that and it really show up on the pages. You know?
Yes.
Because in the second book, I'm not going to say anything, but their banter is even more funny.
Yeah.
And even more, they know each other so well that you're like, oh, look, they're just a sweet little couple now.
Yeah, and they have the call with her parents.
Oh my, I love that part.
I love that.
And-
the FaceTime.
and
Mom's
Amber-
like, I see dust on the coffee table. She's like, no, you fucking don't, Mom.
Yeah, and she's like,
Relatable.
she's gonna know via Zoom if it smells like bleach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts is Randall setting eyes on Hunt Athalar and putting his coffee cup and being like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Like Randall knows him as
It's just this like.
the Umbra Mortis.
That's the fucking
Yeah.
what's happening here.
What?
It's like, can you just imagine her parents' faces as they see the shadow of death?
Yeah.
The angel of death,
Yeah.
shadow of death, is sitting just casually with his sunball hat next to Bryce. Their legs are touching.
ol'
There's
wings.
obviously something happening there,
Yeah.
and he lives with their daughter.
Yeah.
Don't be alarmed.
She's like, don't make it weird, Mom.
Don't make this weird.
and Hunt knows Randall, which is incredible. His ability to connect with him and be like, "Hey, I remember you." Like that is
Yeah.
such an accolade in itself. But that small part. That's one of these small parts in the books.
Yeah, like
Small
Jelly
moments.
Jubilee. Like
Yes.
the little My Little Ponies.
Yes, I love the pony.
You thought it was a dildo, didn't you? And he's like, no comment.
Yeah. He's like, his seriousness when he's like, Bryce, what is this? And she like has this mini little panic attack. She's like, what? Oh, my unicorn Pegasus is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Jelly Jubilee.
Jelly Jubilee. Yeah. Oh, I love those. And she's like, because they make me happy.
Yeah.
There's such a, she connects her connection with her childhood because they're the only thing that made her feel like,
Yeah. Cool.
Included.
yeah,
Cool and included. Yeah.
not ostracized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a weirdo.
And he throws her under the bus for her leg because he's like, oh, yeah, did you know your
Oh,
daughter
he
still
gangs
has
up. Gangs up. That's like that their relationship's going somewhere because he gangs up with her parents
yes.
immediately.
Yeah.
He literally, we know that he's been thinking about it the entire book and then doesn't bring it up until he sees Ember Quinlan.
Yeah.
And he knows that Mama is going to make sure she goes and sees a Med Witch.
Yeah.
And he just, yeah,
Yeah.
sweet.
Is this the one where we find the information in the jacket?
Yeah.
We find the USB
Yeah.
that she's hidden in the jacket.
And we know that, yeah.
Lucky
And
she
so
never had it dry cleaned.
yeah. Good thing she doesn't
Yeah.
dry
Yeah.
clean leather.
So we see the synth in action through
Yeah.
this video.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's scary.
Danica hid the USB in her jacket.
Yeah.
And she finally puts together the clues. Yeah, it's really terrifying. And that's when she realizes that it's the synth that makes people pulpy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pulp,
Entirely too much pulp.
the pulp piles.
the red
Yeah.
pulp.
Yeah. And they start to put it together. And then when the one spicy scene, the one sex scene we get in the book, it's like a makeout scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bryce gets hers, but
Yeah.
Hunt has no wings because he had them chopped off.
Yeah. That's what
He's got his bloody nub.
they bring the they bring the med witch in and he's like, am I cleared for sex?
She's like, no.
no. She's like, whatever happened here, maybe we don't
Whatever
do that
led
again.
to these two blood spots on the
this
couch.
white couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The white couch cracks me up.
The white couch.
I want to get a cleaning spell.
She was like,
I love that.
I know.
I need a cleaning spell.
I know.
So bad.
I wouldn't even need it to smell like bleach. I just need
it to smell like pine and snow. I'd be okay with pine and snow.
Yeah.
Maybe a little sea salt air. Lemon, verbena, and sea salt. I think that's what Rhysand smells like. What does Hunt smell like? Rain and cedar?
Yeah. Rain-kissed cedar.
Rain-kissed cedar.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Not just
But
cedar,
like when
cedar.
when he is near, she feels the electricity.
Yeah.
I'm
The
wondering
ether.
if everyone does, because he's
Radiating
zappy.
power.
He's zappy.
He's like a walking power plant.
Yeah.
Like a nuke.
It'd be funny if you had more like static shock when he was around. Like every time you went to grab stuff, it's like God
Your
damn
hair
it.
started.
Standing up on ends.
Yeah,
Fucking
not
Umber
fair.
Mortis is
Damn
here
it.
again.
Yeah. Let's see. We get the knock. The like.
Oh yeah, the knock.
Very
shows up.
scary.
So scary. Lives in the
Very, very
I don't know
scary
why
to
she
me.
got it. I mean, I understand why he ended up in the story, but Jessica's reasoning for getting that scary ass monster is
Well,
crazy.
she thought
Did
maybe
it-
it was another torture for Lahaba.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But why would she want to torture Lahaba?
I don't know.
That's stupid. I know. I'm just kidding.
And then
She
we get
wanted to
Lahaba's.
keep Lahaba in
check.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Lahaba spends her time on a fainting couch watching Fangs and Bangs.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
She's the best.
Instead of guarding that
the
precious
best.
library.
There's this
That library is a really big deal. You know?
Oh yeah, it's a huge deal. There's this creator on Instagram. She's also on TikTok. Her name is Bookish Coda. She has the best fan art. I guarantee you've seen it. She's the one that does the Barbies. Have you seen those?
I don't know.
I'll share them with you. But she does like a Barbie package for every character in the SJM universe. She also had a series where she did all of their birthdays, their rising sign, their moon sign, and their sun sign. And Lahava has a Taurus moon, and I was like, yes, she does.
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does. She's just loving her TV all the time,
Wow.
just like me. Yeah, but I'll send you those. I love her stuff. And she's an artist. It's not AI at all. It's like her drawing it. They're really good. I'm sure when
love
you
that.
see it, you'll be like, oh, I have seen these. But she's so, so good. Her most recent Barbie post was of Runes package, and it comes with the Star Sword and moving shadows included. It's really cute. It's really cute.
Aw.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Let's see. She gets her leg fixed because they need more venom.
Yeah,
That was intense too.
And she decides like, okay, I
ready.
can help with this.
Yeah.
And
And Hunt's like, did she glow for a second? Or
yeah, and then her
That's
star power kind of like
weird.
reawakens when they pull the poison out.
yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a second when we get to the orgasms that never stop.
yeah.
It starts on page like 76. Anyways, sorry, I'm jumping the gun. But then she got her leg fixed, no more pain. And then we get this weird tiny, and one time Rachel mentioned that, and I completely forget that this happens, but Hunt and Victoria and Justinian find out what synth can do, and before they know it's dangerous, they start doing deals on the streets to try and get their hands on it for humans.
Yeah.
Because it'll make humans as powerful as Vaynir. And we do learn at that point that regardless of what's happened to Hunt, he still is fighting.
Yeah.
That he still has the fight in
He's
him.
still a rebel.
He's still a rebel. Rebel forever. And so it's like Hunt's at home. It's the timing of it's really weird because like Hunt's at home sick,
It doesn't make
and
sense.
then Bryce.
It is absolutely
Yeah.
crowbarred in here. She was like, "What do I need? A plot wedge?" She was
Yeah.
like, "Yoink!" And then she just drops Hunt on. I was reading it and I was like, "No."
Yeah, well,
No.
so she's
No.
like Hunt. She puts Hunt to bed, and then goes out and meets Therian, and then Therian's on a
Arian's like, "There's a deal going down right now," and she's
so
like,
they
"Oh,
jump on
yeah."
like a jet ski, and they're jet skiing, and she's
Must have leapt out of bed.
He
as soon
and he
as
can't
heard-
fly.
He can't fly.
He doesn't have
He had to
wings.
cab over there. He called an Uber before she left.
Yeah.
He was
Yes.
on the next elevator down.
And there are hints to it. Reading back through it, like seeing all the little hints of
Yeah.
like the off-page stuff happening, I'm always like, oh, I see it. I didn't see it the first time. I'm going to read this next book coming out so much more carefully Because I want to try and like pick up on it first time around.
Yeah, that's why. I don't want to be rushed. I don't want the
You don't
fandom rushing me.
No one has
Well,
to.
just don't go online.
I'm
just-
not going
Yeah,
to.
we're
Just
just
don't.
gonna delete TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Deal.
Let's do
And
it.
I would buy this hunt on the boat thing if he didn't burst into tears. And I'm normally
He
fine.
cries?
Yeah.
I
He burst into
I was probably
tears,
so attracted. I just blacked it out.
but
Oh, it's probably so ick that I blacked it out.
let me see if I can find it. 'Cause it's
I
right at
have
the
my
end.
I have
man
my copy of
tears.
it. I love a man that cries.
Blech.
As long as it's not a whiny
not-
cry.
I don't
if
mind
it's an
the
emotional
cry.
crying. Like that's why I like Turkish men.
I don't mind the cry. I don't mind that. Like I don't mind if a man cries. That's perfectly fine.
But the
it
bursting-
makes no sense in this moment. Let me see if I can find this section. I'm trying to find the moment because
Hold
it
on.
just
What
doesn't
is
make
it?
any sense.
Hold on. What's a word that would have happened at that time?
Well, it's right here, but
Okay.
I'm gonna get to it because they're like talking. They're having a really reasonable conversation. Then all of a sudden, he's just like, and it does
I don't
not.
remember
Oh,
that.
it does. Hang on. Yeah, because all of a sudden
Normal.
everybody shows up on the boat. Like Micah's on the boat.
Fury.
It's like
the first time she's seen Fury in 2 years,
it's like
isn't
the
it?
biggest fucking boat ever.
Isn't that the first time she sees Fury
Yeah.
Yes.
in 2 years?
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to deal with
A lot
emotionally.
to
when you
deal
feel
with
like your
it.
friend has abandoned you.
Yeah. And and then yeah.
Yeah. Here it is. He slides to his knees.
He's just so upset. He was going to stop it because he changed his mind.
Yeah.
Then he-
I don't know. I don't know why it bothered me. It just, because nothing leading up to that moment makes you feel like he's about to burst into tears. Like you feel like he's upset. You feel like he's disappointed in himself. And you feel like this was something he started before he got into it with Bryce.
Right.
And he never wanted her to find out about this. He wanted it to just go away, but he didn't know how to get completely out of it. And he's having like a conversation. There's like 25 people on this boat by the end of it because people just start popping up out of the water. It's just ridiculous. And then all of a sudden he's just like blubbering and it doesn't make any sense in the context of what's happening.
Yeah. Well,
Well, it's because
And
she's
then he's
so
like-
mad at him.
And then he's like, Bryce! And she leaves and she's not turning around. He's like, no, Bryce! And he's like screaming. She's like,
really?
riding.
I don't remember that. I think
riding
I blacked
away
that
with
out.
Therian.
I really did.
Yeah. Bryce Hunt roared. She didn't look back. She literally hops on with Therian and she's like, punch it, merman. And they like zoom off down the
Yeah.
intros.
Yeah.
And he's
Well,
like, no, come back.
And then we learn from
And then she's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Because as soon
Yeah.
as she gets back to the apartment, she's like, shit, I'm never going to see him again. Because now he's going to disappear into the dungeons. And the last thing I did was like flip him the bird and ride off on a wave rider.
And it only takes her a couple days to recover from
which
that.
Yeah.
I love about her.
Yeah.
She's way more mature than some of our other heroines.
Yeah, because some of them it takes 5 days of
Yeah.
painting a home that's not their own.
Yeah.
Just showing up with paint.
It's,
Can you
I-
imagine you loan your cabin out to somebody and then they're like, I decorated it for you.
No, I love it. I love it. I am not. That joke in the fandom is so funny though, because so many people have decided that Farrah is not a good painter. But I think she paints like real life
Yeah.
because I think she's like more of a realism type painter. So
Oh,
I think she's
picture
good.
it like I would do, like with crayons, like
a lot of people do.
very round,
Because it makes
like,
Yeah.
it funnier.
flowers.
Yeah, it does make it
'cause
funnier.
funnier.
lots of
Yeah.
like
And everyone's
primary
like,
colors.
Here, have a paintbrush, Farrah. And she's like, thank you. Everybody does that to her. Every time they want her to like, you want to feel better? Here, go paint something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Color.
He says the last thing I ever wanted to do was hurt you. And then he screams Bryce. Yeah, you're right. And she didn't look back.
Yeah.
When do we find out that Danica killed she thinks that Danica killed the pack of devils before. We find that out.
We I think Micah tells her like she was a junkie just like you, and she started taking synth. And she was high on synth. That's why she killed everybody.
Yeah, but they blame it on her before we know. Yeah, before we
Yeah.
know that he actually dosed her.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's because she was like she was a druggie.
Yeah.
And she was wild and she got into something she wasn't supposed to. And
This is what happened.
This is what happens.
So we do have a part in the book where we think that Danica killed her own pack.
Yeah.
And that was
Hard to read.
wrenchingly hard to read.
Your first go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that thinking, that doesn't seem right. I don't think I clung to it because I was like, nah,
Yeah, I was
I'm not
like,
going to accept that.
that
It
is-
felt too much like Agatha Christie, where it's a murder mystery and you can never solve it on your own because there's always one crucial piece of information you don't
have.
know
Yeah.
until you finally get it at the very end.
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, none of these are going to be true because there's one thing
we don't know. Right.
which is
And
what
then,
ends up being true.
and that's basically the end of the canyon. Like our stories widened, it expand.
Yeah,
We've met more of these characters. Our Ox team, our court, they're all coming out. We love our I love it when a new friend group has just we got a new friend group. We got our techies and our fays and our angels.
Let's make t-shirts.
Yeah, and our male merman pop, and we got our merman, and everybody's just friends, and they're all nice to each other, and they like can't help but like each other. Do we get any Autumn King in the third part? I think we do. The very beginning of the
He shows up, doesn't he?
yeah, he does. He goes and talks to Bryce, but the very beginning of that part, Rune goes to see his dad, and we get kind of some lore breakdown. His dad is in his office and with the Ori, and we see how shitty his dad is. But doesn't his dad say in this one that they needed? No, that's the next book. Never mind.
I just remember him
I really
showing-
should have waited to read Sky. I started Sky and Breath yesterday. It was dumb. It was stupid.
I just remember him showing up at the gallery and he's in skinny jeans.
Yeah,
And he doesn't look much older than Bryce.
Black skinny jeans. Like
Yeah.
they're all so like New Yorkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, fuck. He doesn't look that
Like
much
they're
older
like
than me.
Italian, well dressed men.
Yeah.
They dress really well, and they're
lots
like
of long
28
hair and-
with his cold, dead eyes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really loved your mom, And she's like, yeah, I could tell by the way you hit her and ran her off.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I can't be blamed if I'm a little emotional. And she's like, no, you can. Yeah, you can be blamed. It's
Yeah,
fine.
you
And
can
he's like, well,
definitely-
you're exactly like me. And she's like, get the fuck out. Just
Yeah. She's a
fuck
lot
out.
like him, but she's also her mother.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's like, I didn't say it was a good thing. She's like, just fucking leave.
Yeah.
Like,
I
this
really-
isn't about you.
I genuinely think that the Autumn King, I mean, he did love her, and he just doesn't know how to love because
Yeah.
you can't learn how to love in a family like that.
It's a, what was it from Serpent and the Wings of Night? Vincent.
Yeah.
It's a Vincent situation.
It is a Vincent situation. But Vincent always loved Aurea. Like, it was but he was kind of mean to her. But he didn't throw her out in the street like garbage. But he made some bad choices.
He
The
also
Autumn
murdered
King-
her entire family, though.
And threw her into an incredibly dangerous
situation. Like, groomed her to go to that situation
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
human
To
child.
probably die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't. She comes out on top.
Yeah.
In that duology. That should have been 3. It's fine.
That should have been
But so that's kind of like where the third part ends. And then we get into the fourth part.
And then we get to the fourth part.
And the fourth part starts with Hunt's in prison, Hunt's in a jail cell, and Micah, to punish him, is going to sell him back to Sandriel, who we've heard so much about. And we have heard this entire book how shitty and terrible and scary her Triari are. They've come to town for the comitium. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, I don't remember. The symposium? The
Symposium?
I don't know.
Comitium?
Comitium.
Comitium is the building. A symposium?
No.
Committee.
It has a name,
It's
but I don't
A
remember.
commentary.
You've read it 6 times.
I know. That doesn't mean anything.
It's nothing.
Do you know how long it takes me to remember stuff?
I just saw it and then I flicked past it.
I have a TikTok. Something went big. I turned on my phone, 197 new likes. I'm like, I don't know what that's for. It's probably nothing. It's probably my comments. Feast, Sheath, Shatter.
Summit.
Summit. Killed it.
you.
Crushed it.
Wow.
You got it.
Thank you.
I knew if I just sat
we
quietly
couldn't
for
remember
1 minute.
Summit. That was great.
Yeah, we just sat here quietly looking for it.
Yeah.
You better edit some of that time out. People are going to be like,
just going to leave it.
driving in a PTA line. PTA line. Just like not dead air. Just dead air.
The PTA. Like people are waiting for their kids listening
In
to
the
Feast,
school-
Sheath, and Shatter.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, Jennifer
You know what?
listens.
If you are, get it.
Jennifer listens. My mom friends listen to their books in the car before the kids get in the car.
Yes.
Silver Flames. And then the
Yes.
kids get in.
And then we have to press
Pause. Put on Bluey. Straight from Silver Flames to Bluey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
My life.
Mom life. Mom life. So, Ingasm, right? Hunt is in prison.
Yeah.
Bryce realizes what Hunt means to her, and she's like, I'm not losing another person. I am not losing. I just came back to life. I am not losing someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So she runs over to the comitium,
Runs.
meets Sandriel, and is like, I will give you $90 million for this guy. Somehow, Jessica decides to loan her $90 million.
Anything she asked just before, Jessica's like, fine, as a loan.
Yeah. Yeah, because
okay.
Jessica knows she's going to own her. I have a feeling. That's why I think Jessica is a way bigger deal than we know so far. But
Well, she doesn't seem to care that Bryce steals from her constantly. Like,
Yeah.
she stole the death mark. She steals another one of these rare-ass necklaces that there's only 5
because she doesn't
in the
even
world.
notice the Arcesian amulets. Yeah.
Or she doesn't care. Because she does mention, I guess it's in the second book, but she asks for more death marks, and she's like, well, you got to pay for these.
See, that's why I think that there is something behind the scenes going on where Danica and Fury show up in Bryce's life, right?
Yeah.
And Danica knows who Bryce is. We learn in the last part that when we get that wonderful flashback right before she drops, that Danica knows that she's a starborn princess.
Yeah.
And I bet
She
that
just
Fury.
gets away with a lot of shit, and Fury got her that job.
I think it was a protective job. I think they were protecting her.
Yeah, she was in a fortress all day, every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think Jessica knew a little bit more about her than she may have let on. And I think Jessica knew it was in her best interest to keep Bryce close.
Yeah.
And I'm going to threaten you like a big sister or like a scary, a little bit inappropriate boss
Yeah.
to turn you into a toad.
Right.
Or a bunny or a pig, a
Which
little
Bryce
baby.
never takes seriously.
No, she doesn't.
No.
So I think that there's more there, but you're right. I mean, she does take a lot. She spent $10,000.
Yeah. She just spends, she's like, Jessica never checks.
I mean, Jessica could genuinely be that wealthy.
She
I mean,
could,
if
but-
she's
but
been
still,
alive
like,
for
she
as
bought
long-
obsidian salt with her money.
Yeah, she
And
did take
then
the death mark.
The Arcesian art amulet
Or like
is
$2 million a piece.
There's like a limited number. They're not making any more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I'll get another one out of the safe. It's fine.
Yeah. She's yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad I'm just saying it's weird. Jessica knows everything that's going on in her little
That's why I think
sphere.
That's why I think Jessica is I think Jessica is somebody way more important, and I think she has I think she knows more about Bryce than we think she does,
Yeah.
which is why she lets Bryce get away with it.
Yeah.
Because you don't keep your people who's you know what I mean? She knows. She knows the death mark's gone.
She's got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also she's transferred. She transferred over to the House of Flame and Shadow as a sorceress.
Yeah.
It's a house transfer.
Yeah. She's
Hey, I wonder if like in Hogwarts you could transfer houses.
You know,
Like if you were like, I'm just not getting along with these Ravenclaws. They are way too stuck up for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna. I knew
Huffles?
in my monologue in my brain, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna say Ravenclaw." Yeah, maybe. I'm just not feeling like a Hufflepuff anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what if you had something traumatic happen to you and your
Yeah.
personality shifted and you weren't a Hufflepuff anymore?
Yeah.
I think you're just stuck because you know
I am a
Dumbledore
Slytherin
says
now.
Dumbledore says sometimes I think we sort too soon.
Yeah. So sort too early. Yeah. Like ask kids to go to college too early.
Anyways,
This isn't Harry Potter hour.
but so Bryce decides she wants to
Buy Hunt.
and then trade herself.
Yeah.
Like she goes,
She's like, you can
completely
have me.
self-sacrificial.
And I'm the Autumn King's daughter. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, and she outs herself.
Yeah.
And then thank God Rune shows up.
Thank the
God, her
gods.
brother. Thank the cauldron. That Rune shows up and uses the old Fae rule.
Cathona's tits. Thank Cathona,
Thank Cathona and her tits.
that
thought
Rune
that-
shows up and sets that all right.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, she's my property. 'Cause
Yep.
I'm a female.
He claims
She's my
her
family.
in front of all these people.
I'm surprised Hunt didn't pick up on them being brother and sister.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem within the realm of possibility.
I guess so, yeah. So we find out that, well, we've known all along, but Hunt finds out and he's like, oh my God. He's so grateful to Rune for getting her out of there. Sandriel melts her Kisian amulet.
Rude.
Rude. So rude. Like, what a waste.
Wow. That was
I would
a
have
lot of money.
scooped up the gold powder off the floor. Dusted myself with it at the next party. Something
They all
fun.
have gold dusted skin already. It's
Yeah, they do
perfectly
have.
fine. Yeah.
They really love that.
They're all tan and they all have gold dusted
Because it's
skin.
like Rome, right? Isn't it
Yeah.
warm
Yeah.
there?
It is the
Yeah.
Mediterranean.
Yeah, it's warm there. Yeah. So,
warm and rainy.
yeah.
Rains every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Bryce gets attacked.
Yeah. By the Crystallos demon.
And I think that's when Bryce figures out.
And Rune, Flynn, and Declan all pop out of the bushes, don't they?
Yeah.
They're like, she's like, where the fuck?
Yeah. And that's when Declan and Flynn start acting like, those Fae males, those Fae, when they figure out that you're their princess or their high lady, you're not going to mess with them anymore.
Yeah. They're like, you are a fucking princess? She's like, I am not.
And he's like,
princess."
yes, you are. I can't believe Rune didn't tell them. He tells them everything.
Yeah.
But he didn't tell him that, which goes to show how much he loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts, y'all. And then it starts.
And it
Yeah.
And then
really,
it really starts.
starts.
So let's go through it.
All right,
okay?
let's do
Let's
it.
talk about it.
We got there. We got there.
I know. I love it so much. So Bryce is just like she's in her library. She's still trying to figure out
How to get Hunt out.
Yeah. And Rune and everybody's at the summit. The best part about the summit, the thing about this whole ending that I love the most, and I think I've said this before, is that it's all on camera.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that it was boring. It's literally
Yeah.
like a PowerPoint
they're
presentation.
just
And
Talking
they're
about-
having the worst time. How about
can't we just start a war again?
so I
It's
know.
really
So
boring.
there's a part when they're describing what it's like for the Asteri to show up and their power to show up, where Hunt says makes you feel like a mayfly.
Mm-hmm.
There is a part in Throne of Glass at the end when it's talking about the power of the gods that says that it makes them feel like a mayfly. Yeah. So I think that Lynn's that you would feel like a mayfly and you could feel the power from 6,000 miles away, which is just crazy. But Asteri leave, people throw up because the Asteri's power this makes everything. I love that's when we learned that Rune can fucking talk to people in his head.
Yeah.
He's been hiding it the whole time.
Hunt's just sitting there thinking about how bad his life sucks. And then he hears Rune.
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
He's like,
What's
"Hey,
going on, man?"
This kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Jesus.
He's like,
imagine? Don't freak out.
Don't freak out. Don't freak out. I can talk, but I can't read your mind. I can just talk to you in your
Yeah.
brain.
Everyone's like, oh, you're telepathic. He's like, no, it's mind speaking. It's
It's
just mind
different.
speaking.
I cannot control your brain. I
Yeah.
can just talk to you in your mind, which makes it a little bit different than, say, being a Jimari.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then things pop off. Man, Micah just shows up at Bryce's work and she knows immediately things are bad. That guy shows up. And we learn that Micah is the true bad guy.
Big bad guy.
The big bad.
The big bad.
And
And
he
why he was in that alleyway
yeah,
that night that
because
Danica
he was leaving.
killed.
Yep. And we get this idea of that for the rest of the book, we get this idea about, people who want power. Micah wants power. He's literally trying to be an Asteri.
Yeah.
He thinks with the horn, the Dread Trove, number 4, with the horn and a Starborn Fae, and he heal the horn, he'll be able to have the power. He'll be able to open the rifts, do what he wants, and be have the power of a star. And then all Bryce is trying to do the whole time is exact revenge on the people she loves and save the people she loves and not lose anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just the whole sequence is so satisfying.
When he takes Syrinx
and throws him in that giant pool.
Literally my heart just stops. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
It's so terrifying.
Yep. And then they battle and like, yeah. I mean, and then we get this, you know, Lahaba's sacrifice, which I'm going to try and talk about without crying because I was still sobbing yesterday because she has been this tiny little character this whole time.
She gets some pretty poignant lines.
She is very intelligent and intuitive.
Yeah.
Like she is used as a point of truth.
Yeah.
Through the whole story.
Right. Because there's a part where Bryce is like, well, he doesn't have anything left to lose. And she's like, no, there's always something left to lose.
Right. And she has always, everything she says, every line is so intuitive, so dead on. And when she says, I have to do this, because she knows there's no other way out.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bryce has to stop, she's just taken on more debt at the Bank of Jessica to free her.
Yep.
You know, and Lahaba knows it. You know, she can't mind her own damn business.
You know I'm going to go through your stuff.
You know I'm
right?
going to go through your stuff. Yeah.
I'm here all night by myself.
I'm a sweet little naked sprite, and I'm
going to go through your stuff.
I'm going to go through all your stuff. Yeah. And she just is like, this is the only way. And it's just to buy her time. And Syrinx, you know, Bryce, like, I will say this. The first time I read it through, I think I was reading it so fast because it was happening so fast.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure on what was happening. Mm-hmm. But after 6 times, it's very clear. And the fact that at the summit, they all have different angles.
Yeah.
They're literally watching in different angles.
Yeah.
And Declan is so great. He's probably like zooming in. He's probably like producing the best show that's ever happened. And watching that whole thing. And in him naming that, you know, that is her ordeal, which I kind of get. Like, is ordeal just like a big adventure you go on?
No, something life-threatening. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's her, you know, her ordeal. And guys, she has on black leggings, a white t-shirt, and hot pink sneakers.
Yes.
Yeah. For the most pivotal day of her life.
And And all of a sudden, you know, Bryce is the hero on a level that for a first book is just like intense. You know, when we think about what this first book of this series does at the end of it, and we compare it to, you know, Farrah had a trial. She did have a trial.
She did fight the worm.
She fought that Midgard worm, yeah, and she threw that bone at Amarantha. What Farrah does is a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
and Bryce's is right along. The first Throne of Glass isn't on this scale, but this is just, you know, we go from street level to like kind of big, really quick in a way that's a little bit surprising. Like I didn't expect the stakes to get so big so quick. I guess I just didn't see the portals opening.
Yeah, she kills Micah.
Yeah.
She vacuums him up.
Shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
Then
shoots him in the head.
Danica's sword.
And it's described like bullet time in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like literally she's describing time stops.
Yeah.
You see the bullet flying through the air, corkscrewing into his skull, going in through his skull. And then she grabs Danica's sword.
Yeah, which she's just had at work in the broom closet this entire time.
This whole time. And just cuts him in half.
Yeah.
Like shreds him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole world just pauses. And they're watching it on TV.
Yeah.
We could talk about a good show.
Yeah.
Let's talk about reality TV. Nothing like it. The way I think my favorite description is when she's like imagining her grabbing the gun and putting it together as she moves. Because it's not easy to do, but she's so well trained. And we don't really realize that. I guess we get glimpses at how how well trained Randall,
Yeah.
Randall trained her.
Yeah, a couple times we've seen her training in action, but this is like
Yeah, and
the
just
big
like
reveal.
assassinates him,
Yeah.
and then burns his ass up,
And then vacuums him up
and then vacuums him up.
and puts him in the dumpster out back.
Yeah, before anybody even gets there, you
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
Save C-Ranks, poor little baby C-Ranks, whoever he is. You
Yeah,
know?
CPR
Yeah.
on the dog.
Yeah. And poor Lahaba just goes. I really hope that we get to see Lahaba again. It's like maybe, I don't know. Maybe we don't, but you know how.
It would be nice. We're spending a lot of time talking about the afterlife to not.
To not figure out where the stars are going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there is some sort of migration of souls happening. I mean, that's what's happening at Starfall. That's a migration of souls.
Right.
So I just think that there's some sort of connection. Yeah. Then Bryce is like, apparently, you know, Bryce's sword. I think I had a hard time realizing that, like, oh, the horn's broken on her back, and the synth makes the horn whole.
Yeah.
And
It
then
heals the
and then
magic
the
of the
anecdote of the it's just so perfect how it all lined up. It's like, oh, I've been waiting for this. It's so great. It's so wonderful. And then the world implodes. All these hell beasts. The gates of hell open up. One
She
L.
takes to the streets to defend the innocent.
Yeah.
And it's really just epic.
It's not, and she's screaming, and we're watching it happen on TV.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend, the guy, this big man, he isn't. You know, he just has to sit back and watch.
Right.
Like he's not the hero. You know,
Yeah.
she's the hero. He shows up and saves her for a minute just to be imploded.
Yeah.
You know, and meanwhile, what's going on at the summit? It is one of the best scenes in the book ever. Is when you know, Hypaxia is like, we're going to get that bitch. Melts his crown of thorns.
Yes.
Crown
Yeah.
of thorns.
So what would you do if I took it off?
Yeah.
And he's like, kill everyone. And she's like, cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's-
then.
Excellent.
Yeah. That scene, that redemption in that scene, it's just like, I'm so grateful we didn't have to wait.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
like
That's
that
why it
scene.
was so satisfying because we get everything we want right then.
Yeah. It's a really satisfying ending. I felt satisfied. That's why I think I've read it so many times. Because
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, it's wrapped.
It's good. It's a complete story.
It is a
doesn't
complete
feel like
story.
the first book in a series. It's like, okay.
It feels like a complete story.
And you're like, okay, there's more questions, there's places to go, but at the end of it you're still like, okay, well, I enjoyed the way that ended.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're really just the way that you've emotionally connected with these characters at this point, you recognize how impactful all this stuff is.
Yeah.
When Ethan is like, Bryce, I'm here, we're coming,
Yes.
and he's not listening to Sabine. I mean, talk
Yes.
about crying. You know? And then Hunt calls the Viper Queen, her dudes come through, save Bryce. Bryce then has, like, that whole scene, how well written it is that this whole time we've been getting these flashbacks to Bryce and Danica's summer of their senior year. We know something bad has happened. We're not sure what it is. And then all of a sudden, Hunt's almost dead because he's found a way to get there. Fury dropped him off in her helicopter that she has. And he got there just in time to save her because the Asteri sent their magic nuke bombs. They sent the, what are they?
Brimstone
Broomstone?
missiles, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Magic missiles.
Yeah.
Like Bryce is going to die.
Yeah.
And then we get this flashback. She announces herself as a princess. Well, that's actually before that. She goes, hey, I'm really sorry. Calls him. Sorry. Calls him.
Yeah.
Says goodbye. Apologizes to everybody for not telling them.
Tell Rune.
I would have told him eventually.
Tell this,
Yeah.
tell that. Yeah.
When she says, tell Fury, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Like, I missed that the first time. But she doesn't, tell Juniper I love her. Like, it's just such a moment. And she's like, I'm actually starborn. Here's my giant star that's coming out of my body. She turns away. She shuts the gate. One gate down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
But then we get the full flashback.
Yeah, and then we get the full flashback right before she announces it.
In a perfectly placed moment.
Yeah. We all of a sudden scoot back. This is what... Can you just imagine it as a show?
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of written like that.
I see it all.
Yeah. Such a convenient way to show something is from the... I was thinking about it from a... Like, your storytelling point. Like, how cool is it that Jessica was like, can you put this on the screen, please?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jessica's just sitting back there like, oh my... She's like... Oh my God, the books.
She's like, tell her to save the library.
Can somebody save the books?
My books.
Somebody save that library. And, I think Jessica is the lost sister. I think she's Helena's sister. I think she's Thea's kid. That's who I think she is. That's not a spoiler. That's me guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's the sister that was never mentioned. There's also a drop of the books. Remember how they mentioned The Walking Dead, which is from Throne of Glass, the Book of Breathings? There's 2 other books mentioned, and one of them is the God number, which I think is 7, because, Lord, we got some 7s.
Yeah.
And then there's one that's the Queen with Many Faces. And I think that that's foreshadowing for something.
Gotta be.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll see who that is. But I think that's who. I think Jessica is like, because they say when Bryce's chest lit up, it says Jessica looked like she'd seen a ghost.
Yeah.
I think that looked like her sister's star. And I think that's why Jessica lets her steal her shit.
Yeah.
I think that's why she lets her steal from her. Because in some way, she has this deeper connection.
Yeah.
But that's just a guess. It might be wrong.
It's probably wrong.
It's probably wrong. Yeah. It's always wrong.
It's probably
It
wrong.
is probably wrong. But I think...
I like it. That's a really good theory.
I've also heard that Jessica might be Manon.
No.
Or a witch that can... Or that she's also one of the priestesses in the library in Prithian. But who knows?
Meh.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't wait though.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. But riddle me this. How do you inflict the drop upon yourself? Is it
You
like
just
the
die.
But
I don't know.
I think it's kind of like
She's
the
real hand wavy. The drop is real. She's usually very specific, but the drop is very like
I dropped.
meh.
You know what it reminds me of? The Shining. Wait, what do they call it when the 13 do it?
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
The yielding.
The yielding.
Yeah.
I like the yielding.
Yeah. It's like you just
You
have to
sink.
sit and you go
Kill
into
your-
yourself.
And you
you
yourself.
just kill yourself.
Yeah, and if you can just
emotionally
do that, do you need the ordeal?
I don't know. That's what I think. That's vague. I don't know if it's intentionally vague or if she was just like, I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't, because
She's holding the power. She's literally holding on to the, Danica has shown up and is like lighted up. And we learn that very first time we met them, that saying, it's actually like, because she knows she's a starborn princess.
Yeah.
So sad.
Because in the very beginning of the next book, we meet a lady who like went through her drop in like a shady
Backroom alley.
Whatever. And it's like, well, what was her ordeal? Did they have like an obstacle course? And
Do they have to? But do they have?
obstacle course?
But do they have to have an ordeal to drop?
That's what it says. Like you have to do the ordeal, and then but I think it's more of like a cultural thing. Like you have to earn the drop.
Like, yeah,
because
it's a cultural thing.
because
Yeah, that makes
Rune's
more sense.
ordeal was like going and finding the Star Sword, so that was like a big deal. But then Hunt is like, well, my mom died, and then I just went and did it. Well, like, did he?
Yeah.
He didn't have an ordeal. He just was like, well, my mom died like 2 days earlier, so I just like paid somebody to be my anchor and did the drop.
Yeah. It's definitely
It's pretty vague.
It's very vague. And then you just drop. Like, I think you have the potential to, or you don't. And then you just do it. It's
And
like
she's
using
like
your magic.
falling into her power, which generates this immense. Huh?
This was this is the part where I was like, oh my God, this is an anime. This is
Oh, really?
This is Dragon Ball.
Power up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, because she just like bursts into light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like you would in an anime when you're powering up.
Right. And so she just keeps falling and falling and falling. And I didn't. So all of the drops all of the power that have ever been put into that thing go into Bryce, which is what gave her her power, right?
Yeah.
It's a blessing. So the rock realizes that she is sacrificing herself for the city, and they're like, here, have millions of amperes of power.
Yeah.
She's stronger than the Autumn King. And Danica's there with her. And it's not in like the power of love. That is, I think Danica knew.
Yeah. She's like, you have to go back.
I'm glad to go back for that fine.
Hunt's alive.
For that sweet ass angel up there.
Yeah.
He's alive.
She even heals the city.
Like it puts the city back together.
Yeah.
Slow motion. Everybody who's not dead yet comes back to life.
Yeah.
Heals everything. And it's crazy that she knew. It took me a couple reads before I really had a clear mind of what was happening there. I think I just read too fast the first time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so much. When you read it the first time, it's so much.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'll
And
agree.
then watching her, when she says, I think, the end when she has to say goodbye to Danica again. And Danica is leaving the Bone Quarter to be able to show up for Bryce.
Yeah.
Like, she's giving everything. And it's really interesting that during that time, Jessica and the Autumn King keep having these, like, lore talks where they're talking about that's not possible, it shouldn't be possible. And then the old man Wolf comes through and he's like, well, through love.
Like, I forgot he was
Through the unbreakable
He's
bond.
been taking a nap for 3 hours.
Through the unbreakable bond.
He
Love.
just wakes up.
Yeah, he's like,
To say that.
that's a wolf.
That's a wolf.
That's a wolf. Oh, don't forget that Bryce also saves Ethan and like pushes him. I mean, she is just a hero, y'all.
She is.
She crushes the end of the
it.
book.
Yeah. And Sabine's like, that bitch has my sword.
Yeah.
And then she does
But
not give
Sabine
it
does
back.
have a moment of vulnerability because she's like, she's not alone. Danica's there. Like, Sabine did love her daughter, as mean as she is.
Yeah.
She doesn't love her daughter. But yeah, Bryce saves the day. She saves all the gates because they're connected. So she just like, it's just like powered up, right?
Yeah.
Like a huge amount of power. Right? Is that how it happens?
Yeah, and it like transmits between the gates because the gates are all linked.
Yeah, and she wills the horn to shut. Is that what
Yeah.
happens? She uses the horn to.
Eh,
I don't
they shut.
know.
Would you look at that?
Yeah.
And
But
she
yeah.
doesn't do her drop in like a sanctioned facility, so that
Yeah.
first light doesn't go to whoever takes the first light.
Okay, so it's just like raw first light.
Yeah,
So it's not.
We
yeah.
don't get glow
it doesn't
sticks.
go into the power
The
grid.
craziest technology that they have is their ability to witness the whole drop via the technology.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he-
why
the
the
arche-
over 9,000, like the
Like-
eyepiece is that's the part that I was just like, this is a fucking anime because they're like watching like a screen where it's like boop 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 boop.
Yeah.
boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, like he just like links in to the system that can monitor the magic.
Yep.
Yeah.
He just
And then it
links-
starts rising, and they're like, "What's happening?" They're like,
she's running.
"She's running!"
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, and she runs to the very, very end of the thing, and then jumps, and then
Here we
Hunt
go.
has to do,
Yeah.
and the first thing he calls her, first thing she wakes. Did you just call me a fucking coward? Like their little chemistry is so sweet.
I just like how the multiple orgasms, she wraps everything up so nicely. We actually get to go home afterwards and take a shower.
Yeah.
Talk to her mom on the phone.
Yep.
Hey, I'm fine. Like we're ending
Almost
this.
get into it.
Yeah.
Almost get it.
Yeah.
Almost get it done, and then then the manipulation.
Gotta go back to work.
The bright hand calls. The bright hand of the Asteria calls.
Yeah.
And she answers the, hey. Hi, Bryce. And like hello, Bryce. Do you always answer the phone that way? And like the manipulation, I love the way she wrote that. It was like he says something and she translates it because I needed that.
Yeah.
Thank you for,
Thank you so much.
she's like saying like, I know what you mean by this. I know what you mean by this. I know what you mean by this.
Yeah.
And, Hunt is no longer enslaved and no longer a property of the 33rd. And
I would have been like, oh, thanks. We're good.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're good. Yeah.
They're even worried about my
They're
mom.
so
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
They are so nice.
We're good, Hunt.
Babe, we're fine now. Yeah, babe.
We got the blessing.
Yeah. Which is more, it's more of a threat. So that's kind of how we know that, like, things are going to. But yeah, and that's where, and then our epilogue, everything ends, we get this ending. Like, if she had decided to never write another book, we have this fully complete story. Mm-hmm. And we get this epilogue with Adis and Jezebel sitting on a bench.
Yeah.
And Adis is the prince of hell, and they seem very familiar, and he's talking about the love of his life. Thea's light, or Helena's light, somebody's light. And, she's talking about it like she knows. What?
I was just thinking, like, you're not really a cat. You don't have to lick yourself.
He's like, maybe I like it.
Yeah. He is so funny.
Yeah.
And then that's where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the best first book in a series ever.
Yep. Good one.
What kind of questions? So did you read the first book before the second book came out?
Yes.
So what kind of, do you remember some of the questions that you had at the end of the first book?
No.
Because some of the questions that I have at the end of the first book, we still haven't had answers. Like, I want to know who Hunt's father is.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to know more about the Star Sword, which we get more answered.
She does a really good job of dropping things in, but not making them like, look. Like, not drawing your attention to them.
Right.
Just being like, Hunt is like, I don't know, he was some dude. My mom didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
And so it's not like, I didn't know who my father was. My mom refused to talk about it. It's just like, I don't know, he was some dude.
The subtlety in which she's able to do stuff like that has really evolved over the years.
She's gotten a lot better.
She's
so much better.
And she tries
it's
to do
been-
that in Throne of Glass, and you just end up frustrated.
Right. And
All
And
it
in
does
this,
is,
you're
like,
like,
pull
oh,
a
I didn't
circle
even
around
know
it.
that was a mystery.
That-
okay, great.
And that is what I think I loved because of the way in which I read these books, where I started off with Throne of Glass, then moved through ACOTAR, and then got to the series. I was just blown away at the quality of the book. Like,
The growth.
yeah, the growth in her, watching her mature as an adult, just like her become, she grew up. I think she's like mid-30s now. She's a mom. She's, living her best author life, one of the most well-paid authors probably in the world. And now that everyone knows, it's about to get even bigger. I wouldn't be surprised if they turned them into movies because of the way that people make money off movies versus a series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think movies make more money. But I think that this story is so clean. It's just clean. It's just precise. And then when you go back and you go to that first chapter and you're like, wow, she gave us every answer in the very first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
She gave us the synth. She gave us the first 5 chapters, the Redner Industries. She literally names everybody. So when you're first reading this, you're just like, what?
Yeah, it's a big dump.
It
The
is
very
a
beginning
dump.
is
It's
like,
a badonka-donk
whoa.
of a
Dump-a-dump.
dump. Yeah.
yeah.
Just like Bryce's butt.
Yeah.
She got a nice butt. I love a nice butt. But yeah, it's a great book. Thank you for reading it
You're welcome.
again.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So next week we're going to be talking about, or the next episode we'll be talking about Sky and Breath.
Yes.
What you got going on over at the other pods?
We just talked about Children of Dune.
How'd that go?
It was good.
I think you did that the last time.
We did Dune. We were going to. but we just did do.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, which it's denser than this book, but shorter. Thank God.
Yeah. Sky and Breath is
You're
fun.
getting through a lot of pages.
What, Sky and Breath?
I'm just thinking about all the reading that you're doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm on page 350 of Sky and Breath, so they just met they're in the bone quarter.
Oh, yeah, I forget about that chapter. I forget about that.
Wow, she makes the hot dog joke. Like they're going to get attacked by like Cerberus, and he's like, don't right now. And she goes, something about a hot dog. And she says hot dog right when it leaps at them.
Yeah.
And he's like, fucking Bryce. And he's just like,
Yeah, their banter is so cute. Sky and Breath has been so much fun to reread this time.
yeah.
Just because
She's going to wear a hot pink miniskirt. And he's like, to the bone quarter. And she's like, it's hot out. I'm not wearing pants. And he's like, no. And she's like, fine, fuck it. I'll put on leggings. So she goes and puts on leggings.
Yeah, her pink shoes, like just picturing her, like the most traumatic thing in her whole life. She's such a baddie. You know,
yeah.
she just crushes these. She's so capable.
Yeah, and Sarah J. Maas loves a co-living situation. So now there's like 17 people living in her apartment.
So
or
fun.
They're regularly.
She loves a friend group. I think that's what I like the most about her is that she loves a friend group.
Yeah.
She wants everybody, like a core group.
We want an
Yeah.
ensemble cast.
An ensemble.
Bryce is the only like girl in her core group for this, like for right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's Flynn, Declan, Rune, Hunt are all hanging out, and
All the
Ethan
frat
are all
boys.
hanging
Yeah.
out with her. And Cormac shows up, and it's right after they were at the gym, and we had the gym scene.
Yeah.
And Cormac is like, it's going to be really hard to hide what's going down if you guys are going to do that. And everyone's like, hide what? And she's like, oh, that Hunt went down on me. And they're all like, God fucking Bryce.
Yeah. Well, and because
No.
Danica's gone. Yeah, that's true. But then we do get Hypaxia. She does have some friendship with
Yeah, she
Hypaxia.
does.
So
yeah, and we have Fury and
yeah, Fury.
June.
I
with
do
her.
want to say a Fury theory just because it is a crack theory, and I'll probably mention it again, but I came across it this week and I thought it was really cool. But there is a part in Wings and Ruin.
When you wander into things and then you're like, I don't know. I don't know. This is too far.
Oh.
You said it first in your brain and reacted with your eyes. So you're like way ahead of us.
Yeah. I don't know whether I should say this. I'll wait. I'll save it.
Save
Can you
it.
cut that out?
Yeah.
Thanks.
But it's funnier when I leave it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. I just don't want to ruin anybody's thing. Whatever. Some multiverse.
You didn't say anything.
You
You just said
literally
there's a part
said
in Wings
nothing,
and Ruin.
and then your
There is
eyes
a part.
went-
There's a part in. So Sarah has said she keeps a list of names that she uses in all of her stories. So if a name shows up twice, it's intentional. So Briar from Throne of Glass, there is a Briar in Wings and Ruin. The little girl, the woman that is saved by Azrael, her name is Briar.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there's like, that was a way that they overlapped, and we don't know why. But she's a witch. That's Briar, who was of the 13.
Mm-hmm.
There is a Lord Thanatos mentioned in Wings and Ruin. Kier, when he's talking to Reese, is like, hey, I gotta go. Lord Thanatos is having a hard time with his daughter again. And this lady, I think her name is Shani, it's just on TikTok. She goes, who's Lord Thanatos? And a lot of these characters are based off of mythology. So she goes and looks up Lord Thanatos or Thanatos, which there is a Thanatos in Crescent City. He is one of the princes of hell. Well, in mythology, Thanatos' daughter, she has a daughter, and her name is like Aurelia. It's not Aurelia. It's Otterland. Otterland. But whatever her name is, her name means fury.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so I gotta say another thing. Can I say another thing? I just
Yes.
can't wait. I can't
Say
wait.
another
Okay.
thing.
Okay. So Hunt, Amryn, and Fury are all described as having angular eyes.
Yeah.
That is not something, that feature is not something that other people have. If going by that theory, if Fury happens to be Lord Thanatos' daughter, which means she is a person of hell. She's a princess of hell. And she has angular eyes. Then that means that the angular eyes probably is a character trait of peoples of hell.
Right.
That means that when Amryn came through 15,000 years ago, she knew the people of hell, and she chose a body that looked like the people of hell. That also means that, like deep diving, that Hunt could be Fury's cousin, Fury's brother, that they have because his father is rumored
origin.
Is people have really thought that he might be of a prince of hell. That might be who Apollyon is. That might be why
Makes
Apollyon.
Sense.
Yeah,
You're the angel of death.
you're the angel of death, right? So and Apollyon is described as having leather wings. Who else has leather wings? Illyrians. So the Illyrians could be also descendants of people of hell. And if Lord Thanatos is in Wings and Ruin, then that means that there's already a gate or a rift open between the two places. The world's of possibility. It's all wrong. It's probably all wrong.
It's probably not at all
theories.
right.
Not at all. But when she said the Fury thing, I was like, that would make so much sense. Because we don't know who Fury is. We don't know where she's from. We don't know what kind of veneer she is. And Vanir. And Vanir. And
I liked veneer. That was good.
Veneer.
Yeah.
Veneers.
A thin sheet of wood.
Brick veneer.
Or like teeth. That's what makes me think of veneers on your teeth.
Oh.
But yeah. So I think that is... Can I do another one?
Yeah, go. Go.
Oh, I can't do that one. Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can do this one. Okay. This one is more ACOTAR coded. But in Wings and Ruin, and if I've said this on the pod before, excuse my redundancy, but the Bone Carver calls Farah and Rhysand your majesties. Have I mentioned this to y'all?
Maybe.
Okay.
But I don't remember.
He calls them your majesties. It's this tiny line. But I looked in all 15 books. Your majesty is only ever used to describe a king and a queen. We already know that Amryn has been gunning for Rhysand to become king and queen. But, something would have to happen. They're very reluctant to take more power. They're not conquerors. No one ever wants to be a conqueror, even though they should probably be. But I think the Bone Carver knew. I know that's where our macro story is headed. I think that Farah and Rhysand are going to have to be the High King and Queen of Prythian. And there are some things that happen at the end of Sky and Breath that could support that theory. So, but I'm so positive about that part.
Yeah.
Because he never calls anyone. There's only one other time Your Majesty has used, and it was when the Adder calls Amarantha Your Majesty, but she felt she was trying to be a queen.
Yeah.
And I think it's intentional. And it's just one little throwaway line. She was like, I'm going to sneak this in here. But the details, man.
We shall see.
Yeah. Oh, another thing. Sorry.
Nope, we're all here for you.
Wait, I think, is this in the... Oh, no. That's in the next book. Okay, never mind. I should not have started reading Sky and
I should
Breath.
not have done that.
No, I should not have started
No.
doing it because I can't keep the differences. Anyways, well, thank you for letting me talk about TikTok and
Absolutely.
and Spoilergate.
We don't invalidate you. You're perfectly welcome to feel upset about that.
You are valid.
You are valid. My feelings are valid, but I also recognize that I may have overreacted a little bit.
No.
Yeah.
Why? Did you go harm anybody? No. You didn't overreact.
Well, I did troll someone today, but then I deleted it.
You deleted it.
That's fine.
I was like, I'm so mad.
Also, it was like, I don't know.
Silly.
It was
She
like,
probably thought I was serious.
it was like if a bunny gets mad. Like, you thought you did something so mean, and I was like,
That's not
Meh.
that. That's not that mean. It feels mean to me.
yeah,
but
because
it's
you're
not.
so not mean.
Yeah, and I don't like it when people are mean.
Yeah, mean is not nice.
When they're ignorant and mean. That feels ignorant.
It's a level. The fandom is, the age gap is big.
Yeah.
There's a large age group of people. We are close to 40. I'm 41 in 2 weeks. And you guys are mid-30s. And, you know, we've lived a lot more life than, say, someone who is reading it in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
You know, and I also think the world is really different right now, and it's really easy to be, what's the right word? Just like chronically online takes where you're just like kind of a nasty, and it has to be one way or the other.
I mean, I see that a lot in the comment section and other places too, where people are like, we don't want your opinion. If you think that Sarah J. Maas is not a good writer, you're wrong.
Right.
Like, it's not a matter of opinion, it is a fact. And in
Right.
fact, it is a matter of opinion.
Right.
And a matter of taste, just like any other artistic endeavor.
Right. Right. And if you don't want to hear it, just walk away from it. You know, you don't have to prove a point to anybody. You don't have to tell them that their feelings are dumb or that they're...
That's something I've never understood about social media is people's need to stay in a place where they disagree with what's being said and argue with it. Just move on.
Well, and then you
Keep
can tell
scrolling.
you can tell a discourse that is productive and healthy and like agreeing to disagree. And so often, I just made a post on TikTok about how I thought that the community was so respectful and kind to each other.
Wow.
And then this happened, and I was like, yeah, you did this on. This doesn't feel kind and respectful. This feels like a fandom that's really big. This is a very divisive issue. I'm seeing a lot of people who put a lot of energy and love into these stories being frustrated about the spoiler, and then I'm seeing people just shut them down, and the majority of the consensus is to shut people down.
Yeah.
And people are getting shut down for having this feeling. And I think the people who did felt it strongly enough to think like, oh, people are going to agree with me, to the point where the people that think that aren't saying it.
Right.
Like
you don't feel safe. It's not a safe
people don't
space.
feel safe to say this was frustrating.
Yeah.
You know? And I've seen a lot of really smaller pages like really going in on this. And granted, it just happened. People get really opinionated when something, you know, just happens. But you know, it's just a shift. It's like there was the before and the after.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think that this fandom is definitely moving away from the people who've been reading fantasy their whole lives to, you know, the ACOTAR girls.
Yeah.
Not that, you know.
Yeah. We know. Yeah. I get what you mean.
Yeah. So, anyways.
You get to the point where you get the people that define themselves by the fandom. And I know you are like hyperfixated on them and you're reading them, but you're not in a place where it's like you can accept no criticism of any part of it ever.
Well, and to be fair, I felt some of that yesterday. And so I was like, oh, I need to go outside. I need to shut down and go outside.
Right. Because I was feeling, oh, this is not healthy. This is not a place I want to be.
My feelings are really big right now. I shouldn't be responding and reacting this way. I need to go outside and remember that while I do love this is my opinion. Adam Grant had this really great. Do you know who Adam Grant is?
No.
He's an occupational therapist. He's really smart. Really kind, really healthy man. Does a lot of like what healthy workplaces should look like. Well, he had a post today, I think it was, that said, when you remember that your opinions are not your identity, you can step away from them and have conversations where you don't feel personally criticized.
That is very accurate.
Wow.
Yes.
Right.
That is, yes.
Right. He's very, very great. And I love him. But I had to step away because I was mad and I was like, oh, I might need my antidepressants again because I am feeling some feelings. Like I have just been too close to this to feel, I don't like feeling like I don't get to show up to a space with my feelings. And that's what I was that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like I don't get to show up to this space right now and I don't get to be like my presence here isn't valid because I think that it was it was disappointing to see the spoiler like this.
Yeah.
And I felt sad for people who didn't want to be spoiled, and it was. It's the removal of a choice.
Yeah.
And we see that in her stories over and over and over again.
Right.
The removal of someone's choice is always the bad thing
Yeah.
in her books. And I get it. It's like a trailer, right? It's a trailer for books that take you 200 hours to read.
Yeah, but you still have to watch a whole trailer. If you just show me a single image with text on it,
Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah.
And even a trailer has like a thing at the front. It's
Right.
Like, here's a trailer. It's coming.
Yeah.
Watch it or don't watch it.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to me just scrolling and it being like, oh, here's a blurb.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah.
okay.
I just think that, you know, it is what it is. It was a
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And it'll be known now, like everybody's gonna, everybody knows that it's a multiverse. It's not, when people ask which one do you like, and I'm like, which one do you like most? And I'm like, none, they're all connected. They're all the same.
Yeah.
They're just different parts of a whole. I don't know why you're asking me that question. Oh yeah, you haven't read them all. You snooze, you lose.
And on that note,
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Is it hot in here or is it just me? Tuning in to hear these three chatting about fantasy novels of the spicy variety. Not your average book club, if you know what I mean. Are you happy to see us? Or is that a dagger? It's